I don't know why I've put this video off for so long, but I called Parma home for almost 18 years, so I have a pretty good idea as far as what the experience was like growing up there, kind of an idea of what it was like living there as an adult, and now I have the idea of what it's like selling there as a real estate agent in the greater Cleveland area. I have a lot of love for the city, but it does have its downsides to it, so stay tuned and we'll talk about everything that you need to know about living in Parma, Ohio. Now, my name's Sam Ohler and I'm a realtor in the greater Cleveland area, so if you're starting to think about moving this way, feel free to reach out to me. All of my contact information is going to be down in the description, but whether you're moving here in 9 months or 9 weeks, I've got programs that are going to make your life a lot easier, and I help a ton of people relocate to this Cleveland area every single year, so no matter what your situation is, I've got you covered. Now, the Parma area is southwest of Cleveland, and it's about a 25 to 30 minute drive to get to downtown depending on what time of day you are traveling, but Parma covers 19 square miles and it is one of the larger suburbs in the area. The land was originally surveyed in 1806 by Abraham Tappan of the Connecticut Land Company. Now, I'm not sure if that's how you say his last name, but I gave it my best shot. And its name probably came from a city in New York that was identically named, so I don't really think there's any originality there. But in 1911, a dispute over some alcohol sales erupted, and part of Parma was actually broken off into Parma Heights. And in 1931, after a proposition to annex it to Cleveland was defeated, Parma became an actual city that was comprised of about 14,000 people. Right after World War II was finished, a ton of people actually moved to the Parma area, and from 1950 to 1970 the population skyrocketed, and in 1970 was when it maxed out, and right around then populations peaked at around 100,000. Now, the Parma real estate market can be a little bit tricky to understand just because there's a few different types of houses that you're going to be able to buy here. The median price point sits right around $200,000, which is very affordable for the area, but if you're needing a house that's a little bit bigger than that, say bigger than 2,000 square feet, you're probably going to be closer to that $300,000 price range. The types of houses that you're going to find here are primarily going to be comprised of ranch style homes, Cape Cod style homes, and also split levels, with the majority of them being built around that 1950s to 1970s era, just because the population was so demanding of needing housing for people during that time. Now, the current population is sitting somewhere around 80,000 people, but since so much was built back then, Parma was basically fully developed by that timeline. So right now there are not a lot of new builds that are going up. As far as communities go, they are few and far between. There are some newer houses popping up on old vacant lots, but honestly those are pretty hard to come by, but when they do pop up, they come up at a pretty decent price. You're going to be seeing houses anywhere from the 250 to 350 range. Realistically, in the greater Cleveland area, you're not going to be able to find that anywhere else. Most of these new build neighborhoods say they start in the mid 300s, but by the time you have any sort of add-ons or anything besides the smallest basic build, you're probably going to be closer to that 400 range anyway. Average houses are sitting on the market between 22 and 30 days, but the hot houses that are freshly renovated or well priced are only sitting for about 5 days, and they're going about 4% above list price. So while this market is a little bit slower than others in the greater Cleveland area, the houses are still moving pretty quickly if it's a good house. And the thing that I'm noticing the most right now is that a lot of my clients are looking for turnkey houses that are ready to move into, that don't need a finger lifted in order to get their stuff in there and just living their normal lives. And that's not a bad thing by any means. You just got to keep in mind that if you want that, you're going to be competing with more people, which commonly drives the prices up of the home. So if you're looking to save a little bit of money and not have as much competition, I usually recommend to my clients, grab a house that needs some paint and maybe some flooring. Those are going to be the two biggest value adds for the least amount of money. And what I've realized is that not a lot of people who are shopping for homes want to put that effort in anymore, especially if it's a first time home. I don't know what it is right now, but people are expecting to get their dream home as their first home, and that's not always the case. A lot of the times these first homes are going to be stepping stones for your next one, and then from there you'll eventually move up into a bigger size home that you might need, or something in a different location that you're wanting. I just think Parma has a lot of opportunity for that first time home buyer. And the other thing to note on is, if you do want that turnkey house, we're not in that $30,000 above asking price region like we were a couple years ago. So if you're working with someone out here, you're going to want to make sure you stay informed and work with the right person who knows the market, which hint, I know the market incredibly well. So I'm going to make sure that you are making a good investment when you are buying your home. The majority of the people who are moving to this Parma area are mainly going to be comprised of people who already live in the greater Cleveland area, but there are a few different states that are migrating to this area, and those are going to include anything from New York, West Virginia, and California being the top ones that are coming this way. As far as climate and risk factors in this area, you're not really going to have a whole lot. We don't get hurricanes, we don't get fires or anything crazy like that. If we do get tornadoes, the majority of the time they just stay in the rural areas where it's nice and wide open. They usually don't come into the cities. The one thing that you might have to worry about, depending on where you move in the Parma area, could be flooding, because a lot of the old infrastructure here is built in a way that can't support these heavy rains that come in, and they're continuously improving them. So I'll be able to help you with that. If you are wanting to move to this area, I can kind of point out what areas have a higher risk factor as far as that goes, but it has to do with the storm drains backing up. But it's not like these houses are flooding every single time it rains. As far as the public transportation that the city offers, it's pretty much non-existent besides a few bus routes. We also have pretty quick access to the rapid transit, which will bring you downtown, and there's not a bunch of different spots that it actually stops throughout the different suburbs through Cleveland. It's pretty limited as far as where it's going to take you in those areas. So if you're thinking about moving here or just the Cleveland area in general, you're probably going to want at least one car. And parking really isn't an issue here. Almost all the houses have some sort of garage attached to them, or at least a driveway. And I would say the majority of the streets are going to have some sort of on-street parking as well. So you're not really going to have to worry about paying for parking or parking your car a few blocks away and then having to walk to your house. It's just not how it operates here. Now, as far as the high schools that are offered in the Parma area, there used to be 3 that were there when I went to school, but in 2022, they closed Parma Senior High School. And that's going to be a future site for one big school for all the kids to go to. But there is currently no date planned for that because they have to raise funding for it, and it's going to be an extremely large project that they have to take on. So for now, all of the Parma students got filtered into Valley Forge and Normandy High School. As far as the quality of the high schools that they have to offer in Parma, you are going to have Valley Forge, which is ranked number 396 in Ohio, and then you're also going to have Normandy, which is ranked 241 in Ohio. So Normandy's got a little bit better rank, and overall it's a little bit nicer quality school. But I went to Valley Forge growing up, and my cousins went to Normandy, so I've got some pretty good experience as far as what the two have to offer to their students. It's been a while since I've been in high school, but I can give you my personal experience. I had a great time throughout those years, and so did my cousins at Normandy, but honestly that's subjective to each person. Not everyone's going to have the exact same experience, but as far as Valley Forge goes, the teachers really cared about their students and did the best that they could to get them ready for post-high school life, whether it be jumping straight into the workforce or going to continue their education in college. Both of these schools offer similar extracurriculars where you're going to have different things like ski club, art club, choir and band, key club, National Honor Society, and even yearbook. There's a bunch more that they offer as well that you can filter through the list on their website if you want to. But the other thing that these schools offer are going to be career tech opportunities where they can kind of start to learn some different trades while they're in the school, so they can test it out, see if they like it before they fully commit after graduating. Some of these different areas that they can specialize in can range anywhere from auto collision repair to auto repair to carpentry. You're going to have things like computer science as well, culinary arts, cosmetology, engineering technology, and there's even more that go along with that, and you can find some more information on their website again. But overall, I would say the Parma City School District is pretty solid as far as what they offer their students. Now, if you're moving to the area, you're probably going to have a lot of questions as far as what job opportunities are open for the people that live here. Luckily, Parma is very centrally located to a bunch of different big cities, so you're going to have a lot of different opportunities to travel to these areas within, I would say, a 20 to 30 minute drive. It's not going to be a very hard commute in all honesty. In a surrounding Parma radius, you are going to have about 35,000 jobs available, and those range all the way up to $100,000 depending on what you specialize in. Cleveland has a large pool for medical professionals, financial professionals, engineers, and we have a very high demand for blue-collar workers, which I don't think is any surprise compared to any other city in the United States. But the majority of the people that live in Parma are going to be working some sort of white-collar job that brings in around $70,000 annually per household. Now, as far as the restaurants and shopping that you're going to find in Parma, you're going to be spending the majority of your time at this area called the Shops of Parma, where you're going to find all of your retail and your grocery, and then there's a few restaurants scattered throughout. But this area was formerly Parma Town Mall that got converted into an outdoor shopping area, and it's just this really expansive lot that you can go and get pretty much everything you need. You're going to be able to find stores like Mark's, Walmart, Old Navy, Dick's, Burlington, and a few different others. And throughout the rest of Parma, you are going to find little plazas that are scattered throughout that have a lot of different shopping as well, that are more small mom and pop shops and everything else that you would need that the shops at Parma don't have. Honestly, I don't spend a lot of time going to Parma just for restaurants, but if you were to grab something there, I would definitely take advantage of the area being comprised of largely the European culture. You're gonna have a few different opportunities to grab some food that are not going to be located anywhere else in this greater Cleveland area. And one of them is going to be the Schnitzel House, and the other is the Little Polish Diner. Now, if you're looking to grab a fantastic breakfast, I would recommend Southside Diner on Pleasant Valley. I spent so much time there growing up, and they have some amazing food, good prices, and it's a pretty large quantity of food for the price that you're getting it as well. As far as the different activities that Parma has to offer, the city puts on a lot of different events throughout the year, and some of my favorites are going to be the rib burn-off that happens every June, yearly parades, and then you're also going to find some artisan festivals. And then as far as local businesses that offer activities, you can go axe throwing, you can do escape rooms, you can go to Stearns Farms, and then they also have a lot of different parks that are available to the community for use as well. Realistically, after you do those few things, you pretty much experience Parma, and while I was living here growing up, I commonly found myself going to different cities to fill my time just because there's so much to do within that 20 to 30 minute drive. You could be hanging out on the beach in Bay Village, and within an hour you could be in the national park hiking through a dense forest that has some really cool sights to see. So I think the appeal to Parma is really its central location and having access to everything around it with the price that houses are offered at here. When I was stuck in Parma growing up, we would spend a lot of time hanging out at the Sheetz gas station. Other times we'd be skateboarding at different spots throughout the city, and I pretty commonly found myself at James Day Park spending my full days playing soccer as well. So no matter who you are, I think Parma is a good spot to land whether you are a first-time home buyer or looking to settle down in a more quiet area. It's got affordable houses, decent schools, and a great community that is going to surround you. So if you are thinking about moving over this way, feel free to reach out to me. All my contact information is down in the description, and if you find yourself down there checking that out, before you go, click that like button and subscribe, because it's going to give you up-to-date information with what's happening in the Cleveland area and what it's like to live here. I try to give people a pretty accurate representation if they are relocating, but with all of that being said, I'm going to leave the video there. I'll catch you in the next one.